it's difficult to play in the party band. It's difficult to have to deal with those constraints
What do you
and
mean
all.
impediments?
While a Democrat or a Republican is definitely going to win in 2024, there is another man that has been making some noise and has made a recent shift that I'm a little confused. I'm a little confused by the entire thing, to be honest, but we'll get into it. So, Dr. Cornel West, who, of course, is an author, a philosopher, an activist, a brilliant individual, a leader for decades, has decided to now leave the Green Party. He was running as a Green Party candidate for president, leave the Green Party, and now run as an independent. And this follows him initially leaving the People's Party, which is a terribly run party, leaving the People's Party to join the Green Party. So he's now out of any party and just simply running as an independent. I'm going to get to a couple of clips from CNN where he's discussing why he decided to do this. I'm also going to play a clip from my interview with him that I did a couple weeks ago that gets into my thoughts on just generally the issue with third-party runs in a first-past-the-post system, which is what the electoral system is currently right now in North America. But let me start with his announcement. So he writes here on Twitter, people are hungry for change. They want good policies over partisan politics. We need to break the grip of the duopoly and give power to the people. I'm running as an independent candidate for president of the United States to end the iron grip of the ruling class and ensure true democracy. Join us. And he links to his page there. So before I get to his clips from CNN, I want to show you this clip. This is an easy way for me to summarize my thoughts on third parties and the Green Party generally and a presidential run through a third party, as opposed to reiterating all of this. So this is part of my discussion with Cornel West. It was a 20-minute interview that I put up a couple weeks ago. So I'll link to that full thing below. But here is a clip where I discuss the issues with running as a third-party candidate, the reality of the situation with the electoral politics, and as you even admit the limitations there.
That's right.
And the reason you voted for Biden in 2020 is because you voted against Trump. It wasn't really for Biden. It was against. Right. Yeah, it was an anti-Trump vote, which is right. Just the nature of first past the post and how things currently have to operate based on the way the system currently is. Do you think that maybe the Green Party should invest more in local races, state races, as a way to build up the party and try and create some energy around, at a state level, local level, as opposed to just going full throttle for the top of the ticket every 4 years? Because if there's going to be a successful Green Party national party,
right,
you need to have the foundation there. And even just let's say you even get 5% of the vote, federal matching funds, that doesn't mean a whole lot. Like that's about $10 million. That's not going to win a campaign. You saw the Reform Party hit that, 92, 96. Then Pat Buchanan got less than 1% of the vote, and that was with federal match. He had the $12 million from federal matching funds. Went from 8% that party did to less than 1% of the vote. So that money didn't help him. There really has to be a foundation for the party, I think, for any third party to be able to build and be competitive. What are your thoughts on that?
Is this a reflection of your running for the Green Party there in Canada?
In Canada, it's different because it's a parliamentary system. So it really depends on what riding you're in. But since I ran, this is back in 2015, I've had sort of a different, back then I thought, hey, if we get some percent of the vote now, we'll get more next time. We'll get more next time. We'll grow it that way. I've come to learn that's not really how it works, right? It's all about where the investment is, what riding, or in American terms, what district the investment is in. If there is enough of an investment from the party into certain areas, you can definitely win some seats. The Green Party, I think, has 2 seats right now, but they've hovered around there for a while. It's really tough it's even tougher, I think, in the American system for third parties because it is not a parliamentary system. All right, so I'm going to get to Cornel West on CNN discussing why he decided to run as an independent now and leave the Green Party. But before I get there, just quickly here. So those are my thoughts on, third party runs in a general election. The issue really is first past the post, which essentially means that the party with the most votes wins, regardless of how many votes those are. So you can win an election with 40% of the vote, even though most people did not vote for you. You still win that election because that 40% is more than anyone else got, which leads, even in a parliamentary system like in Canada, often leads to a two-party system, because most people want to vote against the party that they don't want in power. So you end up having two parties essentially get a lot of the power there, and it disrupts people's ability to vote for who they actually want to vote for, which is why ranked choice voting, which Cornel West brings up in that interview as well, is important. Proportional representation, there has to be a complete shift towards a different electoral system that actually respects the voter. Until that happens, any sort of run like this is just, I think, a waste of time. There has to be a foundation of a party. If you want to have a run like this, there has to be local race, like state races. There has to be a real investment into growing a party from the ground up. You're not going to grow it from the top down. Now, let me get to Cornel West and his decision here and why he decided to leave the Green Party.
The Green Party is a progressive party, and I was so glad that Sister Jill Stein and my dear brother Jamu Baraka came in and allowed me to become a part of that process. But I discovered that, lo and behold, even there are certain impediments. And you see, Sister Caitlin, I really am a jazz man in the life of the mind in the world of politics, which means that it's difficult to play in the party band. It's difficult to have to deal with those constraints.
What do you
and
mean
all.
impediments?
The impediments having to do with first, there's a long nomination process. You got a number of different appearances you have to make. You have to make your case. And I understand that democratic process, but when it becomes so internal that I don't have time to focus on the pain and the social misery of the people.
All right, so there's one more clip coming up about him discussing, why he thinks running as an independent is better. But on these points here, I get what he's saying. I understand what he's saying. To me, it sounds like he doesn't enjoy his life being controlled by the Green Party schedule. So the Green Party has, certain things you have to show up to be able to, hit the nomination, certain things I'm sure you have to do. And I totally get that he doesn't like his life being controlled by that. So he's not running as a Green Party candidate anymore. I totally get that. What I don't get is wanting to continue to run for president after you realize these sorts of schedules are not for you. Because at this point, you can no longer use the argument of, hitting 5% to hit federal matching funds because you're not in a party. You're running as an independent. That's a lot of the defense I was seeing for people in support of Cornel West as the Green Party candidate initially is that, oh, well, obviously he's not going to win, but if you hit that 5%, then you get federal matching funds, which, as I showed in my first clip, I don't think that really means a whole lot. But if that's your argument, that argument's gone now. So I don't really know what the point of this run is personally, because again, Cornel West can be on TV whenever he wants. There's an eyelash in my eye right now, and it's bothering me. So I don't know why he needs this. Let me get to the next clip, which explains why he thinks running as an independent gives him a better shot.
But do you worry it complicates your bid for the White House? Because if you did run as the Green Party nominee, you're on the ballot in I think 20 or so states. Now you've got to raise a lot of money, have this effort to get your name on the ballots, which, as well as I do, it requires tens of thousands of signatures.
Well, my Green Party brothers and sisters have 18 states, so we still had 32. And the two-party system, the corporate duopoly, is just so unjust in terms of making it difficult for any independent party. And that shows you the way in which they want to reproduce the status quo. Now, I've got 50, but it's easier as an independent to gain access to the ballot than it is to be part of a third party, you see. And so we've got folk on the ground, operations on the ground. I've got an organizational genius in my dear brother Peter Dow and magnificent high-quality team, and we're hitting the ground running, and we're going to be in at least 35 or 40 states.
Did you?
I appreciate Dr. West's his enthusiasm, his optimism. I think it's crazy to think that he'll be on the ballot in more states than the Green Party. There is a reason why, if you're going to run as a third-party candidate, people run in an actual party as opposed to running as an individual. The barriers are tougher for an independent. You can look through some of the needs here. Independent candidate requiring ballot access. So a lot of signatures. Of course, it depends on the state. Money in some cases, but it's not too much money. Considering a run like this. But it's just. If it was easy, you would see more people do it. If it was easy, there would be a lot of people on the ballot every year. And even if you get on the ballot, Ross Perot got 18% in 92, didn't get one electoral vote. I am struggling to understand what the point of this campaign is. I love the guy. I think he's brilliant. I think this is a waste of his time. I don't get what he's getting out of this. He could be on television regardless. He was on TV during 2020 before the election. Like he can get on whatever show he wants. He's Cornel West. So he can push his message any way he wants to that way. He does not need to be a candidate to do that. I don't know the purpose of this, knowing he's not going to win. And, he brings up, but, Biden, what might happen to Biden? He's really old. What might happen to him? Or Trump, he may be in jail. Okay, let's say Biden and Trump are not on the ballot. It's another Democrat, another Republican. That still means that one of them are going to win and be president. That doesn't open the door for Cornel West or anyone else that isn't in one of those parties. I'm struggling, man. Struggling to understand the point of this. But, I wish him the best in his fight. I know his heart's in the right place. I just don't know why he needs any of this.